Hi, I'm Lionel, this is TechLoto, and these are my tips for buying your first used car. I'll leave timestamps in the comment section below. External checks. The first thing you need to do is go around the potential car and put pressure on all the sides to make sure there's no squeaking noise. This will let you know if there's something wrong with your suspension. Next thing you need to do is check all your doors. What does it sound like when you close it? Does it still sound firm, or is it a very clanky kind of noise? Also check the rubbers around the doors. You need to check every single door in the car, including the boot. Make sure that it holds firm when you open it and it closes firmly when you shut the door. Also check your side mirrors. Another important thing is to check for cuts and grazes around your tyre. Don't be fooled. A lot of people selling second-hand cars will clean the wheels, they'll pour water all over it so it'll look brand new. Check it. And also make sure you have your wheel locking nut. Without this, you can't change your wheels. This is to ensure that your wheels don't get stolen. Make sure you have enough for all 4 tyres. Check that the rubber is still sturdy on your windscreen wipers. Make sure that it's all safe and ready to use. Check the front and back. There's nothing more annoying than being on the motorway in the rain and finding out that your windscreen wipers are not working properly. It's not a fun experience and it's dangerous. Also make sure that you check your fuel tank cover. Make sure everything's safe there. If it should have a cap, check with the person. Make sure it does have a cap. Another thing I'll say that you shouldn't fall for is that if there's any scratches or bumps around your car, don't let the person that's selling it to you convince you that it's only going to take a few dollars or a few pounds to fix it. It can be very costly. Body shops charge a lot. The little scratch that you can see on my car and that little bump would cost about £200 to £300 to fix. So now you're inside the car, let's get it started. But if you've passed your driving test and you're looking for a car, that means you've been in the car for quite a while now and you know what it should sound like when it starts. So switch it on, listen for how it sounds. If there's any delays in the sounds and it sounds like it's struggling to start up, then there might be something wrong with the spark plugs. Feel free to ask those questions. Also, have a friend stand behind the car and just put a clean tissue in the exhaust pipe. Make sure that whatever's coming out of it is not too black. It might mean that oil is leaking in places it shouldn't be. Next, and obviously, it sounds silly, but check your handbrakes, and whether your car is automatic or manual, move the gear stick and make sure that everything's working properly. Little things like that can cause a big problem. If there's a problem with your gearbox, it could cost you more than what you're paying for the second-hand car. The next thing you want to do is check your mirrors, make sure that they're all working. This is very important. You want to make sure that all the electrics in the car are working properly. Check all the sides, don't get lazy. Also check your radio. If the radio code hasn't been activated yet, ask to use it. You want to make sure that it works, otherwise you could end up paying for this later on. Another important thing that can let you know the condition of the car is switching on your fan. Make sure that you switch it to cool and to hot. You want to make sure that all your climate control is working. And when you do put on the fan, be mindful of what it smells like. If it smells like petrol, you know there's likely something wrong. Remember, you're not an expert, but it's a good way of shortlisting your car before you bring out a mechanic. So moving on, make sure you also check your lights. Check all your lights. Put your hazard lights on, have a friend check all the lights for you, walk around the car yourself. Don't just check that the lights are working, look at the position of the lights. I speak from experience. You want to make sure that all the lights are well fitted, otherwise it could end up costing you extra money. If you're buying a used car, you're likely on a budget, you don't want to pay extra for no reason. And one of the most important things that you really don't want to forget is your seat belts. Check every seat belt. Don't just put them on, have someone sit inside the car, put the seat belt on, jerk forward a little bit and make sure that it's working. Also in the boot, you might have a spare tyre. Check that there's a spare tyre in the boot, and under that there'll be a mechanism to unscrew it, and then you'd be able to see if there's a jack inside there. That's just for changing your tyres in case you have an emergency. Let's look at the internal checks. When you open the bonnet, especially if you're not an expert, it can be quite daunting. You're just looking for the basic things here. Have a look at the plastic around the car. Check that for any dents. That will let you know if the car's been in an accident. I'm sure everyone knows how to check engine oil, but if you don't, it's a basic thing. Just check that the oil is golden brown. That will let you know if the oil's been recently changed. Another thing is to make sure that your engine coolant levels are obviously in the right place, and also look inside of it. If you can, open the cap and check if there's been any oil leaking through it. Make sure you ask questions about the battery. It's your first car. Most likely you'll leave your lights on by accident. Your battery age will be the difference between you being able to jumpstart your car, taking it for a long drive and have it working again, or having to replace it, spending up to £100 to get a new battery. Also, I almost forgot, make sure your windscreen wipers are working. And always take the car for a test drive. If they can't give you a test drive, then it doesn't matter. You don't need to buy that car. Everyone should be willing to give you a test drive where you can take the car up to 20 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour. You've sat in a car for a while, you've passed your driving test, you know how it should feel. And if you're going to different people and you're testing different cars, you get a feel of it. So you need to take it for a test drive. You'll be so surprised about how easily you can sense when there's something wrong with the gearbox. The way the gears change, you'll feel so forced in an automatic if there's something wrong. And I have 2 bonus tips. Make sure that you always check the car's service history, and when you do finally decide on which car you're going to buy, there's a really cool app that you can use to keep track of all these new expenses. It'll let you know when you have your road tax, MOT. You can go onto the website USEMOTO.com, enter the registration of the car that you're looking for, whether it's the car you're looking to buy or whether it's the car that you already have. It'll give you information about the car, the speed, and even the MOT history. You'll even be able to compare different cars. It's a great tool for finding out which kind of car you want to buy and keeping track of your expenses when you finally bought the car. So just remember to subscribe to TechLoader for more helpful videos, and don't forget to visit the website.